welcome to another episode of High Hopes Motivation with Igidu Sardinia. Today I'm truly excited to introduce today's guest, former Moroka Swallows and Black Leopards head coach, Zeca Marques. Zeca Marques, thank you so much for taking your time to be on this interview today.
My pleasure.
And I know I got a lot of kids out there watching, a lot of my kids, so I'm hoping we can inspire some kids out there today.
That's the aim here today.
So Zeca, I know with a lot of professional footballers and professional coaches, there was a moment in their life where it started as either a dream or a thought in their mind before it manifested into reality. When was that moment in your life for you where you decided, I want to be a professional coach? Or was there an earlier moment in your life where you maybe wanted to become a professional footballer first? Could you give us a bit of your journey into becoming a professional coach, please?
Yeah, so I always wanted to become a professional footballer. I used to eat, drink and sleep football. I used to train by myself. I lived in Nigel, and Saturday mornings when we were free, I used to go to the park with some of my friends, and we used to practice technical exercises just by ourselves, just by what we knew. Yeah, it's a very good question. I used to eat, drink and sleep football 24 hours a day, 8 days a week, 13 months a year. Because if you don't have that burning desire, and I'll go to the point of obsession, it becomes very difficult. You lose hope very quickly. Yeah, it's always very difficult to pinpoint exactly when I had this passion, but I was 3 years old and I was already playing football. I've got lots of pictures with myself and the ball. I was 8 and I was running around with a ball, so everything was ball driven, everything was football. And as I grew a bit older, 12 years old, I used to go to the park by myself with some friends, and we used to just play football. We used to play football literally during school, after school, Saturdays, Sundays, that's all we did. And I think it was that desire, without even knowing it, I think it was a passion then to play football.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as if someone said, you're going to play football. I was born and the ball was there.
Yeah.
And then I think that's how it worked out. And then as I got older, I just wanted to play more and more and more. I used to play football for 4 hours a day when I was a youngster in the park with my friends. And at the age of 16, I was putting teams together. I was organizing tournaments. You know, I used to go and see the sponsors to sponsor the kit at 16 years old. And when I look back at this, I realized that this was my calling. And then at the age of 25, I decided I want to become a coach. Realistically, I said, yes, I want to coach. And this, I think, was the turning point of coaching.
So Zeca, on the way to becoming a professional athlete or a professional coach, there are a lot of obstacles on the way. There are a lot of challenges. As well, a lot of negative people along the way telling you cannot do it, stick to a 9-to-5 type of job. As we spoke a bit earlier, it needs to be a burning desire. It needs to be something you want more than anything. Specifically as a coach, I always feel sorry for the coaches because they are under so much more scrutiny from the media and always put under so much pressure to perform, especially at a high level, and to churn out results. Just how important is it for a professional coach or professional footballer to have that strong-minded will, that mentality to just keep going, even though there's criticism, even though there's this pressure on you to perform?
Well, let me put it this way. If you don't have that strong will and that strong mind, give up. It's that simple. I stopped reading newspapers because of the criticism. Supporters, people around you, friends will laugh at you and they'll tell you that you're not good enough because they want you to fail. You must remember out there's a lot of people that want you to fail.
Yes.
And those are the biggest obstacles you have. So if you don't have that mindset that it's your dream that you're following, not other people's dream.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that is what's going to keep you on track.
Yeah.
You've got to see the end goal and then you've got to chase that end goal. And along the way, you're going to have these detractors. What I call them thieves of dreams.
Yes.
Right? Those people you're going to encounter them as you go along. And if you're not strong enough to handle that mental, because mentally it does affect you. There's no doubt about that. You've got people telling you you're not going to make it, you're not good enough. And it's easy to say, you know what, he's probably right. He's probably right, I'm going to give up.
Yeah.
If you don't have that will, you will stop. And then a few years down the line, you realize that the people that told you that didn't actually want you to be successful. They wanted you to fail.
Yes.
Because they failed, they want you to join their club.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge. So I always had my vision at the end, and I was focused, which is key. And a lot of people, when I told people that I want to become a coach, I still know who they are. Okay, and they laughed at me.
Amazing.
I still know who they are. And then I also learned that, sometimes it's better not to tell people, keep it a secret.
Yes.
And as a success comes, it will unravel itself. And then when you're successful, then you can start. Then you don't have to tell people anyway. But I had that in the beginning, so it's very, very difficult to deal with.
So by your story there, Zeca, there are a lot of people rooting for you to fail out there, especially in professional sport. I always like to brag about your achievements when it comes to when you were at Moroka Swallows, when you won the Nedbank Cup and the MTN Cup. I like to liken it to Leicester City almost winning the Premier League, because you guys were seen those years as almost as the underdog. With the limited squad that you guys had, and not the big finances like your Kaiser Chiefs, Sundowns, and Pirates. What sort of mentality did you instill in your players? What sort of drive did you put in them to achieve those great feats when you guys won these trophies against all the odds, when you guys were the underdogs?
That question sounds as if you were almost in my change room, the one talk. The one thing I drove with our players, because I realized very quickly that it was us against them. Okay, and you're right when you say they had all the money, they had everything. Swallows was a big name, but it's a small club.
Yeah.
Okay, and we inherited players that no one else wanted.
Yeah.
That's what we mustn't forget. So it was all the Chinenis, Leratos, Chabangos, players from Pirates, Sundowns, and even Chiefs. They were like, okay, you're looking for a club, you want to carry on with your career? Go and play at Swallows. So we were given those players, but they were good players, right? So I turned my mentality, I quickly realized that, what? The only way to make these guys believe in themselves is to create a rebel mentality.
Yeah.
We got to be rebels,
Yeah.
okay? And it's us against them.
Yeah.
And we've got to prove people wrong. There's a lot to prove here, all right? So I started creating that culture in the club. So it was all mind-driven, eh?
Yeah.
And I was a rebel myself, because people also criticized me.
Yeah.
So I was just the leader of the rebels.
Yeah.
Okay? And I want to tell you this now. When I took over, the Libya war broke out. Remember the Gaddafi revolution?
Yeah.
Okay? The September, what was it called? The September...
Spring.
The spring.
Yeah.
The Arab Spring.
Arab Spring.
It just started. All right? So I started downloading some of the videos of the revolution, of the rebels, because we had to have that mindset.
Okay.
And we used to watch those clips before the game.
Okay.
To drive the players, start creating that culture that, what, we've got to play with anger. It's us against them.
Yes.
It's not about football anymore. It's about proving our worth and proving our value in this game.
Yeah.
And we were fighting for ourselves, our pride. That's what we were doing. So I created that whole mentality in every single game we played. And that's what drove us. After a game, the guys were exhausted because during the whole week, I just used to drive that whole mentality, and even myself, And then after the game, it was like, yes, we did it. Next battle is next week. And that's how we drove this thing.
Amazing. So Zeca, we can actually see in all the stories you're telling me here that how powerful the mind is and the human psyche in achieving anything great in life. It can actually push you to excel past people who have training or qualifications higher than yourself. I know I've got a lot of the kids who I coach who are watching this interview today. What advice could you give to the aspiring footballers out there in terms of training, in terms of their attitude towards training, in terms of their mentality to get to professional football?
Firstly, you should change the chip you have here.
Yeah.
Change that chip. If it's not the right chip, it's not going to work.
Yes.
Right? Because the chip is a driving force. That's number one. Number two, you've got to train every day as if it's your last day. It's going to be 100% effort every single training session.
Yeah.
You can't come to training and think that, I'm not in a good mood today. Well, you've got to stop preparing yourself on the way to training that you have to be in a good mood.
Yes.
It's that simple. Okay? The difference between winners and losers is attitude.
Yes.
You talk to the world's best athletes, the guys who've achieved everything. They're all good. Every player on par, professionally or level. You know, technically they're all there. The difference is the attitude.
Yeah.
So it's your mind is your computer. Your mind is what drives you. Your body is just the vehicle that gets you, that gives you the action. So if you're not mentally prepared for that, and if you don't start preparing yourself mentally, doesn't matter what your ambitions you have, doesn't matter what aims you have in life, what dreams you have in life, you're not going to achieve it.
Yes.
So it's important to start doing the right things in life, and it's all about the right habits. Waking up in the morning, making your bed, eating properly, take responsibility for yourself. Don't wait for your mommy and daddy to do everything for you. If your mom can't take you to training, well, walk to training.
Yeah.
You know, get to training a bit earlier. Show that you really want it, because that starts building a character around you, and you start doing the right things. And once you have the right character, I always used to sign players based on character. For me, character is more important than talent.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to create that character, who you are, what you stand for, and what values you have. Once you get that in place, it becomes so much easier, because then you have the edge on everyone else.
Yes.
And this is a competitive world out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to have the edge on other people, you've got to do what the other people are not doing. And Ronaldo is the best example. Read up on Ronaldo, and that's why he's Ronaldo. He's not the best player technically. He's not probably the most talented, but he's become a machine. And the machine is driven through, So you have to, you have to change your chip. And you got to look at life completely different to what you think it is. And then you might have a chance. Because there's no guarantees in life.
Yeah.
The only guarantee is death and tax.
So Zeca, a real pearl of wisdom there. For all you players out there, I hope you took to heart what Zeca just said there now. It's more than just being a good player. You got to have the right mentality, you got to have the right attitude, and you got to be willing to put in the work and go the extra mile for it. So I actually have a fun question here, Zeca. A lot of people in the media and in the footballing world have given you the name Lollipop, the nickname Lollipop. Could you just tell the viewers out there where this nickname came from and how it stuck to you?
Yeah, so it started, I don't smoke. And many years ago when I started on the bench, it's quite nerve-wracking. And you either have to bite your nails or smoke, and I didn't either. So I remembered going back to my youth, Kojak, the cop. And he would tell his surveillance, Kojak, and how he was always so calm and cool, because he had the lollipop. Yeah. And I thought, I think this could be the trick. If I have a lollipop, at least it's like you want to keep a youngster, a baby quiet. What do? Give him the dummy. Yeah. So I thought, let me buy a lollipop and try this out. And then at least with the lollipop, I was chewing on the lollipop, and it used to keep me calm. And game after game, I realized, this actually works, because it did calm me down a bit. And that was the beginning of that story, Through the games, the people who see me with the lollipop, but it started with that idea of Kojak, the lollipop, and how he was always so calm and collective, he was always this cool character, and that's how this whole thing came about.
Such a cool story. At the end of every interview, Zeca, I love to ask my guest, what specific quote or advice was given to them early on in their life that they kept for the rest of their life when they faced obstacles? So what I want to ask you, is there a specific quote or piece of advice that you were given when you were younger that pushed you every time you had a difficulty in life and you still use up until today?
Believe in yourself. Believe in the convictions that you have. Be true to yourself. I think those are the three main ones. Because if you don't believe in yourself, it's irrespective of what happens in life. It starts with you. Yes. So believing in yourself, believing in your ability, and what you want to do, I think is crucial. And obviously the convictions you have make a big difference. So as I started off coaching, and that's what I was told once, believe in yourself, it's 90% of the journey done. Yeah.
So Zeca, this has been such an amazing interview, so insightful. Is there any last words of advice that you would instill or pass on to these kids out there who are watching or aspiring to become pro footballers out there?
Absolutely. I think there's one that we should all aspire to, and that is stay humble.
Yes.
Unfortunately, as human beings, as we get praised, as we get the attention, especially as youngsters, your parents start telling you that you're a good player, everyone else around you starts telling you you're a good player,
Yeah.
and you forget about these things because you don't have the skills to manage it, and you start becoming a bit more arrogant.
Yes.
You think you're bigger than the game.
Yeah.
You think that other people are no longer important.
Yeah.
You are the center of attraction. Your ego gets boosted, and that's a recipe for disaster in the long run.
Yeah.
So staying humble, take the praise, take the adoration. It's great, but always stay humble, because as quick as you go, climb up the ladder, you come down.
Wow.
And it's not the way up that's important, it's the way down, because people are waiting for you to fall. And when you fall, they're waiting for you. So that's the lesson I've learned. And if you look at the best leaders in the world, let's take the best leaders in the world. There's one aspect that they all do. And Nelson Mandela is the best example of this, by the way.
Yeah.
He was a beacon of a shining hope of what humbleness can do. And when you're humble, people will admire you more for that than being arrogant.
Definitely.
So keep the ego out of it, stay humble, you'll go far.
So guys, that brings us to the end of another episode of High Hopes Motivation. I really had an amazing time here catching up with Zeca and finding out what drives him and what drove him to all those achievements. I just wanted to say thank you, Zeca, for taking the time again to be on the show today. I learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the viewers are going to love watching this interview.
No, thank you. And it's been my pleasure being here. And obviously, hopefully, we can transfer this knowledge to the youngsters.
Yeah.
It's time for them to embrace it. And as I said, they must keep their vision, the dreams alive, and don't forget to believe in themselves. But thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. So guys, you heard from the mouth of Zeca there. Keep on aspiring to be your best. Always push and work hard. And there's a big possibility you will make it to the top, guys. So guys, if you haven't given my channel subscribe already, please give it a subscribe. Please click the little bell over there in the corner. It will notify you guys every time I have a new video. And always remember, guys, have high hopes.